Hey, so I thought I'd make a video talking about guide cards. It's 2022, it's a new year. Usually at this time of year, I'm doing a lot of guide card readings, and I want to tell you what that means for me, kind of how I look at this single card reading for a new year, my own take on it as a tarot reader. I do not pull a guide card in a predictive way. I pull it as a card of loving advice that you can turn to throughout the year. So it's not like what's going to happen this year. It's more like how can I comport myself this year? How can I approach this year for my highest good? It is meant to be advice that you can turn to at life's high peaks and low peaks and everything in between. So when you really want to supercharge a goal, when you're like, how do I make sure I knock this out of the park? You turn to your guide card and you think about how it applies. When you are struggling, right? When you're down and you're not sure how to just kind of get through, you turn to your guide card and you think about how it applies. When you're just kind of having a medium day and you're like, okay, what should my focus be now? And everything's kind of chill, you can turn to your guide card. Um, and so I do this not through like video readings. I always do this through a PDF because for a year long reading, I think that's really useful to be able to look back on it throughout the year. And I'll tell you, I pull a guide card for myself every year and I do look at it. I put it on my altar and I write down my reading in my tarot journal so that I can come back again and again to this advice as I need it. And it has been transformative for me. I've had a couple of cards that were quote unquote bummer cards that ended up being incredibly transformative and helping me really break through obstacles that have dogged me for my whole life. And some really good stuff has come out of that. And this year looks like it's going to be another one. I thought I would give you an idea of what my guide card readings are like by sharing my guide card of 2022 with you. And I'll tell you, like, talk about getting bummer cards from the tarot as your guide card. Good thing it's not predictive. I got the Tower. This is my guide card for 2022. This deck, by the way, is the Everyday Witch Tarot by Elizabeth Blake and Deborah Alba. No, I said that wrong. Deborah Blake and Elizabeth Alba are the creators of the deck. Elizabeth Alba is the artist. Deborah Blake is the author. So this is my card for 2022. It is my guide. So the way I read this card when it comes up for me or a client in a guide card reading is as an invitation to embody the energy in this card. So the energy of the tower is chaotic and destructive. However, after the tower comes the star in the flow of the tarot deck. The star is inspiration. It's this sense of, and perhaps you've been through this in your life when you've had maybe a chaotic time of upheaval in your life and a lot of things change really fast and you kind of lose sense of stability, and yet there's also this beautiful sense of inspiration that can happen where when you finally land, you look around and you're like, okay, like I know what I want, I know where my strengths lie, and I know what really matters to me, and I'm going to go after it with everything I've got. um that's kind of the beautiful aftermath of the very chaotic energy of the tower. It gives us a fresh start, tabula rasa. It burns away what needs to be burned away, right? You know, we talk sometimes in the New Age community about releasing what no longer serves us. And the tower, being asked to embody the tower is being asked to release what no longer serves us in a dramatic way. It is being called to literally dismantle the things in your life, the structures in your life, the perhaps old beliefs, you know, that you grew up with that are no longer serving you, to not just to politely disregard them, but to like literally destroy them so they can't harm you anymore, so that you can start clean and fresh. And I'm going to actually read to you a little bit of what I wrote in my tarot journal. Some of it's personal, so I'm going to just read like the first portion of it for you. And that will give you a little bit of an idea of the kind of advice you can expect to get in a guide card reading from me. The Tower. It's time to pull apart all the old difficult stuff and unearth everything so that nothing can hide in any nook or cranny. This is about rooting out and cleansing with smoke. Smoke to get into the tiny places I can't even see. I must not be afraid to take everything apart so that I can rebuild it better. And I must be comfortable with it being a messy process that challenges my ego. It is time to fearlessly break down all of the structures holding me back once and for all so that I can start clean. I know I need this. All right, I'm going to keep reading. I am editing for language. I tend to I tend to have a real potty mouth when I write in my own tarot journal. I must not be afraid to be chaotic or destructive. These impulses, while potentially frightening, are the path to my salvation this year. I must stop fearing my own power. I must own what I am capable of. Burn down the old stuff that never worked for you. Don't just politely disregard the years of inappropriate advice, the sense of being corralled into harmful society structures and systems that don't work. Destroy their impact on your life. It is time to break free. These structures are violent and harmful to you as a person. These ideas are violent and harmful. I'm talking now about like problematic social structure. I'm talking about the patriarchy, I'm talking about fiscal inequity. Those are the structures about which I'm talking about. And I don't have illusions that I can single-handedly dismantle the patriarchy, although, man, I'm trying. But I do feel called this year to look very honestly about how those structures are impacting my life and do what I can to dismantle it for me and those close to me. All right, to get back to it. Breaking free of these structures is inherently a messy process. Quote here from Martin Luther King, "The riot is the language of the unheard." It is time to stop worrying about what other people will think and start eradicating the harmful influences in your life. If your quest for freedom can free others along the way, so much the better. But make it an earnest fight and don't shy away from what must be done. So that is really like, this is me free writing kind of my intuition, and that's how I approach when I read for myself. And to an extent to others as well. That's how I access my intuition. And the words that I choose in the moment often end up having an impact that is not the connection my brain was making at the moment, but the words end up having a special meaning later. Do you know what I mean? Um, when you kind of look back at something a month later and you're like, oh wow, in context, that's really interesting. That's what I find often happens for me with my guide cards is I will write something down, I'll come back to it and consider it in the context of what actually happened and go like, wow. And again, it's not a predictive card, but it is a card that equips you to own the next stage of your growth in the way that maybe you need to. I have to say the Tower challenges me as a people pleaser and as also someone who is a fairly structured person and relies on a sense of structure. I'm a self-employed person. So creating structure in my life to serve me has been beneficial, has given me that sense of stability that many people get from like a day job or a 9 to 5. And I don't think personally that I'm being asked to like dismantle every single structure ever in my life, but I am asked to reconsider them. To ask myself if something needs dismantling, I better get to it. And that does challenge me, and that does challenge my ego. And I can tell that it is the next part of my growth because it is challenging me. So that is my guide card for 2022. I don't know what yours will be, but if you're interested, you can get a reading with me. Reach out to me, message me wherever you're seeing this video, or go to my Etsy, which I will link to. It's etsy.com/shop/sassafras tarot. The guide card readings are $18. It's my lowest price reading, and it's because it's, in my opinion, a very powerful reading, and I want it to be accessible to everyone who wants one. Anyway, have a wonderful, thank you for listening today. I hope you have a great 2022.